When aliens finally found Earth, the whole galaxy went silent in shock. The lights were massive, shining like stars but moving slowly as if they were alive. People stopped what they were doing, pointing at the sky in awe and fear. In New York, Jack Harris, a pilot and captain in Earth's space program, was already on alert. He had seen many things in space, but nothing like this. His office on the observation deck overlooked the city, and from there he could see the glowing vessels hovering silently above the atmosphere. They were enormous, hundreds of meters long, sleek and metallic, unlike anything humans had built. He turned to Laura Bennett, the lead scientist for Earth's first official alien contact program. "This is it," he said quietly, his eyes wide. "We are finally being found." Laura nodded but did not speak. Her mind raced with questions. Who were they? What did they want? Were they friendly, or had humanity just invited its own destruction? Across the world, people watched the sky with growing unease. News channels interrupted regular programming, showing live footage of the strange fleet. The ships were not just in one location. They were appearing in many places at once, moving as if they were surveying every major city. Governments scrambled, armies were put on high alert, and scientists worked frantically to understand what these visitors were. In the observation room of the Space Command Center, Jack and Laura joined Ethan Carter, a young but skilled pilot. Ethan was nervous, tapping his fingers on the table. "Do you think they're hostile?" he asked, staring at the glowing ships. Jack shook his head. "I don't know, but whatever they are, they're smart, and they're big, really big. We need to be careful." Laura studied the data from their scanners. "They're not just observing, they're analyzing," she said. "Their sensors are reading everything, the atmosphere, our signals, even our electronic devices. They're trying to understand us before we even understand them." While the humans debated, the aliens themselves were silent. The Kyler, as they would later be known, watched the planet with a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. They had scanned hundreds of worlds before, encountering countless species. Some were aggressive, some timid, and some clever, but none like this. What confused them most was the way humans behaved. The Kyler had expected fear and submission, but what they saw was strange. Some humans ran in panic, others stood and stared, and some even laughed or pointed, as if the lights were a performance rather than a threat. In one city, a small child named Lily pointed at a hovering ship. "Look, Mommy, it's shiny," she exclaimed, tugging at her mother's hand. Her mother laughed nervously. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Meanwhile, Jack, Laura, and Ethan prepared for the first official contact. The Kyler had sent a signal, a complex series of lights and sounds that their computers were struggling to decode. It was an invitation, or perhaps a challenge. Laura adjusted her glasses and typed rapidly on her console. "They're asking us to meet," she said. "They want to see who we are before making any decision. They want direct contact." Jack took a deep breath. "Then we go. We represent Earth. We have to show them who we are." The meeting point was set in a secure area outside the city. Military units surrounded the zone, but they were careful not to provoke the aliens. Jack, Laura, and Ethan boarded a specially designed shuttle, ready to leave the atmosphere. As they approached the largest ship, they could see its details more clearly. It was covered in metallic panels that reflected the light of the sun. Its shape was elegant, almost organic, curving in ways that made it look alive. The ship's surface shimmered with a strange energy that Jack had never seen before. A hatch opened, and a ramp extended. The humans hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward. Inside, the air smelled different but not unpleasant. The walls glowed with a soft, shifting light. They were not alone. The Kyler appeared not in the form of humans, but as beings of luminous energy constantly changing, their shapes flowing like liquid metal. The humans froze. Ethan whispered, "They're beautiful." One of the Kyler stepped forward. It had a humanoid shape but was transparent in some parts, glowing with colors that seemed to change with its emotions. It spoke, not with words, but through images and sounds projected directly into the human minds. Jack felt a strange clarity, as if the alien were speaking to him with thoughts instead of language. "We have watched you," the Kyler said, its voice inside their heads. "We have seen your world, we have seen your cities, your machines, your struggles, and we do not understand." Laura stepped forward. "You do not understand us?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. The Kyler shimmered. "No, your species is unpredictable. You create, destroy, love, and fight in ways no algorithm can predict. You are fragile yet resilient. You are small yet capable of great things. You are extraordinary. Jack swallowed hard. Extraordinary, that is a lot to say about humans. The Kyler's light pulsed. We have scanned hundreds of species. None are like you. None can combine such curiosity, courage, and emotion. You survive where others would perish. You build where others would destroy. You feel where others would calculate. We do not understand how you exist, yet you do. Ethan looked around, amazed. So, they're not attacking us. The Kyler's form shifted again. No. We are here to learn, to observe, to see if your species can continue or if you will destroy yourselves first. The humans realized something important. The Kyler were not enemies, they were curious observers, but their words carried weight. If humans failed to impress, the galaxy might view them as insignificant, and Earth could be ignored or even threatened by others. As the meeting continued, the Kyler asked questions, not about weapons or technology, but about humans themselves. They wanted to know why humans laughed, why they created art, why they helped strangers, why some humans risked everything to save others. Jack and Laura answered carefully, explaining not with pride but with honesty. In one moment, a child appeared on the Kyler's communication feed, Noah, a boy who had wandered near the observation area. He waved at the aliens. The Kyler paused. They had seen thousands of humans, but the innocence and curiosity of children was different. The boy's smile projected directly into their minds, showing joy and wonder without fear. The Kyler shimmered with what humans interpreted as astonishment. You care for each other, they said. You love even when it is dangerous. You are unpredictable yet beautiful. Jack felt a mix of pride and fear. This was the moment that would decide how the galaxy viewed humanity. He looked at Laura and Ethan. We have to show them everything humans can do, not just our machines, but our hearts, our courage, our spirit. The Kyler continued to watch, silently recording every movement, every gesture, every word. Their fleet remained in orbit, scanning the planet and its people. Across Earth, life went on, oblivious to the historic moment unfolding above them. Children played in the streets, scientists worked in labs, workers walked to their jobs, and families shared meals, all under the watchful eyes of an alien species that had never encountered anything like humanity. By the end of the first day, the Kyler made one thing clear. Humans were not ordinary. They were a species that could not be easily classified, controlled, or predicted. And this realization sent waves of astonishment through the galaxy, even before other civilizations had fully comprehended what had happened. Jack, Laura, and Ethan returned to their shuttle, exhausted but exhilarated. They had met beings far beyond their comprehension and survived, not through force but through presence, courage, and humanity itself. Laura looked at the city below. Do you think they will tell others? She asked softly. Jack shook his head. I don't know. But if they do, the whole galaxy will stop and pay attention. Humans are not just another species. We are something else, something they have never seen before. Ethan smiled nervously. And they call us extraordinary. Imagine what the rest of the galaxy will think when they see humans in action. The first day of contact ended with more questions than answers. But one thing was certain. Humanity had been noticed, and nothing would ever be the same again. The lights in the sky were no longer a sign of fear. They were a reminder that humans were finally on the galactic stage, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. As night fell, people across the world continued to look at the stars. Some wondered if they would ever meet these visitors again. Others simply marveled at the beauty of the glowing ships above. But somewhere deep inside, a quiet pride grew. Pride that humans, fragile and imperfect as they were, had captured the attention of a species that had never been shocked before. And so the first contact ended not with war, not with destruction, but with astonishment, curiosity, and the unspoken understanding that humanity had just stepped into a new era. The galaxy would never be silent again. The day after the first contact, Earth was alive with questions. People talked about the alien ships, the glowing beings, and the strange message that humans were extraordinary. Jack Harris, Laura Bennett, and Ethan Carter were back at the Space Command Center, reviewing the data collected from the Kyler. This is incredible, Laura said, pointing at the scans. They analyzed everything about Earth, cities, oceans, technology, even our patterns of thought, and they still don't fully understand us. Jack ran a hand through his hair. I thought we were prepared for anything. But they see things we take for granted as important, small things, things we don't even notice. Ethan leaned forward, his eyes wide. Like what? Like how children play, Laura explained. Or how people help strangers, or even how someone chooses to forgive instead of fight. Those things, they can't measure them, they can't predict them. That's why they're fascinated. Across the globe, scientists and governments studied the Kyler ships, trying to learn as much as possible. But no weapon could scan the aliens fully. Their technology was beyond anything humans had imagined. Even simple attempts to communicate without the Kyler's projection method failed. Jack and his team were sent to a secure area near the landing zone to observe the alien fleet. From there, they could see hundreds of ships hovering above Earth, quietly scanning but never interfering. People below watched with fear and excitement. Some gathered in groups, holding cameras, waving at the lights, or shouting greetings. Others hid indoors, praying the aliens would leave peacefully. In a small town, Lily and her brother Noah played outside, pointing at the ships. "Do you think they can hear us?" Lily asked. Noah shrugged. "I don't know, but I think they like us. They smiled at me yesterday." Their mother smiled nervously, unsure if it was safe for her children to be outside. But the truth was clear. The aliens were observing, not attacking. And slowly, a sense of calm spread among the people. Inside the observation deck, Jack, Laura, and Ethan prepared for another interaction. The Kyler had sent a new signal, this time more complex, almost like a test. They wanted to see how humans would respond under unusual circumstances. Laura adjusted her console. "They want to know how we act when faced with a problem," she said. "Something to measure our intelligence, courage, and teamwork." Jack nodded. "Then we show them the best of us, not weapons, not strategy alone, but how humans think and work together." The Kyler projected the challenge. On the screens, humans saw a simulated disaster on a distant planet. A colony was at risk of being destroyed by natural disasters and failing technology. The humans had to guide the inhabitants to safety using only the resources available. Ethan frowned. "It's just a simulation, but it feels real." Laura smiled. "That's the point. They want to see how humans adapt." Jack gathered a team of volunteers, scientists, engineers, and pilots. Each person had a skill that could help solve the problem. They studied the simulation carefully. The planet was unstable, with earthquakes, storms, and failing power systems. It seemed impossible. "Remember," Jack said, "they are not just looking for the right answers. They are looking at how we think, how we help each other, and how we react when things go wrong." The team divided responsibilities. Engineers fixed virtual power systems. Pilots guided the colony's people to safety. Scientists analyzed the planet's unpredictable weather patterns. Each person contributed in their own way. In the simulation, small acts of courage and creativity made a huge difference. A child, programmed as part of the colony, wandered into danger. One of the team members, a young engineer named Sophie Lane, risked her time and resources to save the child, even though it was not required by the simulation. The Kyler observed closely. They could see every decision, every emotion, and every act of bravery. Humans were not following a set pattern or formula. They were improvising, adapting, and caring for each other. As the simulation progressed, the humans encountered unexpected problems. A storm damaged the colony's communications. Instead of panicking, the team found a way to use remaining equipment to send messages and coordinate rescue efforts. Laura looked at the data. "They're watching more than what we do. They are watching why we do it." Jack nodded. "Exactly. They want to understand the human spirit, not just our brains, but our hearts." Ethan pointed to a screen. "Look, they paused the simulation." On the screens, the Kyler appeared. Their shapes flowed like liquid, shimmering with colors no human had names for. They projected a simple message: "You are unpredictable. You value life. You are remarkable." The humans felt a mix of pride and disbelief. It was one thing to impress other humans, but to impress a species that had conquered thousands of worlds, that was something else entirely. Meanwhile, across Earth, people began noticing subtle changes. Cities that had been tense and fearful now felt alive with hope. Scientists worked with renewed energy. Volunteers helped strangers more than before. Children played with curiosity and courage. Humanity, in small ways, was showing the Kyler exactly what made them special. In one city, Captain Daniel Ross led a group of emergency responders during a sudden flood. They saved dozens of people without hesitation, improvising with whatever tools they had. The Kyler's sensors picked up the courage, the teamwork, and the care. In another city, artists painted murals showing unity and hope. Musicians played songs of bravery and kindness. Even small acts of creativity and joy registered with the Kyler, proving that humanity's value was not only in strength or intelligence, but in heart and spirit. Jack, Laura, and Ethan continued to guide humans through the simulation. The team worked for hours, solving problems that seemed impossible and demonstrating creativity, empathy, and courage at every step. Finally, the simulation ended. The humans had saved the colony. Every inhabitant survived and the planet stabilized, not through technology alone, but through teamwork, quick thinking, and compassion. The Kyler responded. Their light shimmered brightly, a sign of emotion that humans could sense but not fully understand. A message projected into their minds: you are different. You survive not by force but by ingenuity and heart. We have not seen this before. Jack exhaled deeply. We did it, he said. We didn't just survive the test, we showed them who humans really are. Laura smiled. And they are shocked. Every world they have seen so far follows patterns, but humans create patterns no one can predict. We are unpredictable, Ethan laughed. Unpredictable, I like that, makes us sound dangerous. Jack nodded. Yes, dangerous, but in a good way. Not for others, but for ourselves. Dangerous in the sense that we can survive, adapt, and grow in ways no one expects. The Kyler continued to observe Earth closely. They sent probes into oceans, forests, and cities, studying humans in their daily lives. Every act of kindness, courage, or creativity was noted. Every small innovation, every moment of empathy, every laugh and smile mattered. Even children contributed. Lily and Noah explored a small Kyler probe that had landed nearby. Instead of being afraid, they examined it, touched it, and tried to communicate. The Kyler observed this with astonishment. They are fearless, curious, and kind, one of the Kyler projected into Jack's mind. Even the youngest among them shows qualities no other species exhibits at such an age. As days passed, the Kyler fleet remained in orbit, silent but attentive. Governments, scientists, and civilians began to understand that this was not just a test. Humanity was being studied, observed, and admired, not for weapons, not for power, but for what they were as a species. In private, Jack, Laura, and Ethan discussed the implications. If the Kyler tell the rest of the galaxy about us, Laura said, we could change how every civilization sees humans. We could be respected or feared not for our technology but for who we are. Jack nodded. We have to live up to that. We can't let them down. Every small action, every choice matters. Ethan smiled. So we're already showing them what makes us human, and they are learning fast. Across Earth, people continued their lives, unaware of the full impact of the Kyler observation. Farmers helped neighbors with crops. Teachers encouraged students to think creatively. Doctors and nurses cared for patients without hesitation. Every small act added to the image of humanity the Kyler were building in their minds. The Kyler themselves began to speak quietly among their own kind. This species, they are not like any we have seen, one said. They are fragile yet strong. They are small yet capable of enormous things. They survive not because of power, but because of spirit. Another Kyler responded, and their unpredictability, it is frightening. Not because they will harm us, but because they cannot be contained or fully understood. They are extraordinary. Jack, Laura, and Ethan watched the ship silently, feeling the weight of what they had just learned. Humanity had passed the first real test. They had not fought with weapons or force. They had survived and impressed by being exactly who they were: creative, courageous, compassionate, and unpredictable. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Kyler fleet recorded every moment, every gesture, and every act of human spirit. The galaxy would soon know that Earth was not just another planet, and humans were not just another species. For the first time, humans realized that their strength was not in weapons or machines. Their strength was in each other, in their hearts, and in their ability to survive and grow no matter the challenge. And as Earth slept that night, unaware of the full weight of galactic observation, a quiet pride spread among the stars. Humanity had been noticed. The Kyler did not leave. They did not attack. They simply watched, fascinated by a species that had no equal. And as their fleet remained above Earth, one thing became clear. Humanity was extraordinary, and the galaxy had never expected it. After the first tests, the Kyler fleet stayed close to Earth, but something had changed. Their quiet observation shifted into action. They were no longer just studying humans. They wanted to see how far humanity could go when faced with danger. Jack Harris, Laura Bennett, and Ethan Carter met again at the Space Command Center. The room was filled with scientists, engineers, and military officers. On the main screen, the Kyler projection shimmered with flowing lights. It was a message, but it carried a weight no human had felt before. We wish to test your species further, the Kyler projected into their minds. We will create a scenario. Survival will depend on your courage, creativity, and unity. Do not fail. Laura leaned back in her chair. A test? They already know we are extraordinary. Why push us further? Jack shook his head. They want to see us under pressure. They are not satisfied with just observation. They want proof of our ability to act in the impossible. Ethan's hands shook slightly. And if we fail? Jack's eyes hardened. Then they will judge us by that failure. We cannot fail, not just for us, but for everyone on Earth. The Kyler challenge began with a simulation, but this time it felt real. The humans were presented with a distant planet on the brink of collapse. Volcanic eruptions, massive storms, and unstable terrain threatened the lives of a colony living there. Resources were scarce and time was limited. Laura studied the simulation. This is far more dangerous than the last one, she said. We can't solve it with technology alone. We will need improvisation, teamwork, and courage. Jack nodded. Then we do what humans do best. We think, we act, and we adapt. A team of humans was assembled. Engineers, pilots, scientists, medics, and even civilians with practical skills joined together. Each person had one goal: save as many lives as possible under impossible conditions. The simulation began. Lava flows blocked paths, storms cut off communication, and the colony's infrastructure collapsed piece by piece. The humans acted quickly. Engineers like Sophie Lane built temporary bridges with limited materials. Pilots like Ethan guided emergency supplies through dangerous skies. Medics helped injured colonists, even when it put their own safety at risk. The Kyler watched with fascination. They had seen hundreds of species face disasters, but none acted like humans. Humans were not simply solving problems. They were caring for each other, thinking creatively, and taking risks that no algorithm could predict. In one part of the simulation, a child wandered into danger near a lava flow. Jack and Sophie acted without hesitation. They combined makeshift tools and their own hands to pull the child to safety. The Kyler noticed the small act more than the larger strategies. To them, it was proof of humanity's unique spirit. Meanwhile, Laura coordinated communication among the team. Equipment failed constantly, forcing humans to improvise. They used mirrors to signal across long distances, built temporary shelters from debris, and even used the colony's natural resources in clever ways. Each solution was unpredictable but effective. One moment of brilliance came when Ethan flew a small shuttle into the storm. Sensors failed, and navigation was impossible. He relied on intuition and simple observation, guiding supplies and rescuing colonists who were stranded. The Kyler, who had mastered precise calculation, could not understand how a human could succeed with so little technology. Jack observed the team's courage and ingenuity. "This is what they want to see," he said. "Not machines or plans, but our spirit. Our ability to act under pressure, our ability to protect each other." Hours passed. Humans faced setback after setback, yet never gave up. When one path was blocked by lava, they found another. When equipment failed, they improvised. When fear threatened to take over, they encouraged each other to keep going. The Kyler began to communicate among themselves. "Observe their choices," one said. "They are not following logic alone. They are guided by something we cannot measure." Another Kyler shimmered. "Yes. Courage, care, empathy, these are qualities we cannot simulate. Their decisions are unpredictable, yet successful." Back in the simulation, a massive storm struck. Bridges collapsed, supply lines were destroyed, and the colony seemed on the brink of annihilation. Jack and Laura looked at each other. "We have to act," Laura said. "This is the moment that will define humanity." Jack nodded. "Then we do what we always do. We fight with our minds, our hands, and our hearts." The humans worked together, forming chains to transport supplies, building emergency shelters from natural materials, and even guiding animals to safer areas. Their teamwork was seamless, though improvised. No one hesitated to put themselves in danger for others. The Kyler observed, recording every action. They noticed small acts of kindness as much as major strategies. When a medic stayed behind to help a group of injured colonists while others escaped, the Kyler noted it as a defining human trait. When a child helped direct adults to a safer path, they recorded it as evidence of instinctive leadership. Laura realized something. The Kyler are learning more from how we act than from what we do. Every choice, every small risk, every moment of care shows them what humans are capable of, Jack added, and they will be surprised. Every time they think they understand us, we do something new, something unexpected. Ethan, piloting his shuttle, saved the last group of colonists trapped on a cliff. He landed in a dangerous spot, risking his life, and carried them to safety. The Kyler's projection shimmered brightly, almost like they were expressing astonishment. Finally, the humans completed the simulation. The colony was saved, not by superior technology, but by courage, creativity, and teamwork. Every member of the team had contributed in their own way, showing the Kyler that humans could face impossible odds and survive. The Kyler spoke in unison, projecting into the humans' minds, "You are extraordinary. You survive not by predictability or power, but by ingenuity, empathy, and courage. You are unlike any species we have encountered." Jack exhaled heavily. "We did it. We showed them who we really are," Laura smiled. "Yes, and they are shocked. Every species we know follows patterns, but humans create patterns no one can predict." Ethan laughed. "So we're unpredictable, courageous, and kind, not bad for humans, right?" Jack nodded. "Exactly. That is what makes us special. That is what makes us dangerous in a good way." Across Earth, people continued to live their lives, but unknowingly, every act of kindness, bravery, or creativity added to the image the Kyler were building. Farmers helped neighbors, teachers inspired students, doctors saved lives, and children played with fearless curiosity. Even small acts mattered. When someone gave water to a thirsty stranger, when a child shared a toy, when someone risked themselves to help another, these moments were recorded by the Kyler as proof of humanity's unique spirit. The Kyler communicated among themselves quietly. "Observe them," one said. "They survive by caring, by risking, by creating. We cannot predict them. We cannot contain them. They are extraordinary." Another Kyler added, "Yes, and their unpredictability is what makes them strong. Not machines, not weapons, but their spirit. That is what sets them apart." Jack, Laura, and Ethan watched the fleet above Earth, feeling the weight of what had just happened. Humanity had passed another test, not with force, but with heart, creativity, and courage. Laura turned to Jack. "This is just the beginning. They will continue to test us." "But every test proves the same thing. Humans are extraordinary," Jack nodded. "And the galaxy will notice. One day everyone will see what we already know." Ethan grinned. "Then let them watch. Let them see what humans can do when we work together and never give up." The Kyler fleet remained in orbit, quiet but alert. They continued to observe Earth, noting every act of courage and kindness. Humanity had not only survived another challenge, they had impressed a species that had conquered countless worlds, showing that strength was not just in technology, but in heart, spirit, and ingenuity. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Kyler realized a truth they had never expected. Humans could not be predicted, controlled, or fully understood. They were fragile yet strong, small yet capable of enormous acts, unpredictable yet extraordinary. For the first time, the Kyler began to respect, even admire, humans, not as soldiers or scientists, but as a species that could survive and thrive in ways no other species could. Jack, Laura, and Ethan returned to the observation deck, exhausted but exhilarated. They had faced the impossible and shown what humans were capable of. They had not fought with weapons. They had fought with courage, creativity, and compassion. And as Earth slept that night, unaware of the full weight of galactic observation, a quiet pride spread among the stars. Humanity had passed the Kyler's test again, proving that their strength was not in machines or power, but in their hearts, their minds, and their unity. The Kyler fleet shimmered above, recording every moment, knowing that the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. Humanity was not just another species. They were extraordinary, and the universe had only begun to understand it. After the second test, the Kyler fleet stayed in orbit, but their focus shifted. They had watched humans face impossible situations with courage, creativity, and care. Now they wanted to see more, not just how humans survived, but how humans would interact with the wider universe if given the chance. Jack Harris, Laura Bennett, and Ethan Carter gathered again at the Space Command Center. The room was quieter than before. The world had settled into a new rhythm. People knew the aliens were here, but life continued as usual. Schools, businesses, hospitals, and cities ran, but beneath it all, a sense of pride grew. Humanity had shown the galaxy what it was capable of. Laura looked at the incoming data. The Kyler are still observing, but their questions are different now, she said. They aren't asking how we survive. They are asking why we do the things we do, why we care, why we create, why we risk ourselves for others. Jack nodded. They are starting to understand the human spirit, and when they do, they will realize we are more than just a species that survives. We are a species that can inspire, a species that can lead. Ethan frowned. Lead. Do you really think they will let us join the rest of the galaxy? Jack smiled slightly. If we continue to show them who we are, yes, but we must prove that humans are responsible, that we can act not only with courage but with wisdom. The Kyler sent another communication. This time, it was more direct. They projected an image of a nearby star system, one with a small human-like colony that had survived for decades but now faced collapse due to natural disasters. The Kyler asked humans to intervene, not in a simulation, but in a real scenario. Laura's eyes widened. This is real. They want us to help actual beings, not a test simulation. Jack stood. Then we show them what humanity does, not just to survive, but to help others. Ethan swallowed nervously. And if we fail, Jack's voice was firm, we won't. Humans never give up. That is what the Kyler respect. That is what makes us extraordinary. A team was assembled quickly. Scientists, engineers, medics, and pilots joined Jack, Laura, and Ethan. Their mission was clear. Travel to the colony, assess the situation, and save as many lives as possible using Earth technology and human ingenuity. The journey was long, but the team remained focused. They reviewed data sent by the Kyler, learning about the colony's geography, climate, and problems. There were storms, earthquakes, and unstable terrain. Resources were limited, and communication with the colony had failed. It was a dangerous mission, but humans did not hesitate. As they approached the colony, they saw the devastation. Homes were damaged, crops destroyed, and many people were trapped in dangerous areas. Panic was everywhere, but the humans acted calmly. Jack led a group of pilots to guide supply drops and evacuations. Ethan flew a small shuttle into dangerous storms, delivering food, medicine, and equipment. Laura and her team coordinated rescue operations on the ground, building temporary shelters, fixing broken infrastructure, and tending to the injured. Even small acts mattered. Sophie Lane stayed behind to help an elderly man trapped in a collapsed building. A young medic, Anna, treated dozens of injured children, never stopping even when supplies ran low. Every action was noticed by the Kyler, recorded as proof of humanity's unique spirit. The Kyler projected their thoughts to the humans. You are not just solving problems. You are showing care, courage, and wisdom. These qualities are rare among intelligent species. We observe in awe. Jack smiled at the projection. They are learning more from how we act than what we do. Every choice, every risk, every act of kindness shows them who we are. The humans faced unexpected challenges. A sudden earthquake blocked one evacuation route. Instead of panicking, they quickly found another path, using makeshift bridges and tools. Communication systems failed repeatedly, but humans improvised with mirrors, flags, and runners. Ethan guided a group of colonists across a narrow canyon. Wind and rain made it dangerous, but he relied on skill, intuition, and determination. The Kyler could not understand how a human could succeed in such conditions without advanced calculations. Meanwhile, on the ground, Jack coordinated with local leaders, teaching them to organize evacuations and distribute supplies efficiently. Laura directed engineers to build safe shelters using materials found nearby. Children, inspired by the humans, helped carry supplies and guided others to safety. Hours passed, but humans never gave up. Every setback was met with a solution, every problem with determination. They acted with courage, creativity, and care, exactly what the Kyler wanted to see. Finally, the colony was safe. Every inhabitant had been rescued or protected. The Kyler projected a message. You are extraordinary. You act with courage, empathy, and intelligence. You inspire life where there is danger. We have never seen such a species. Jack exhaled. We did it. We saved them, not by machines or technology, but by being human. Laura smiled. And they are shocked. Every civilization they have seen follows rules and calculations, but humans, Humans act with spirit and heart. That is our strength. Ethan grinned. So humans can survive disasters, solve problems, and inspire others. I like how that sounds. The Kyler fleet remained above Earth, but they changed their behavior. They were no longer just observing, they were learning from humans. They studied the ways humans led, helped, and inspired others. They recorded every small act, from rescuing children to sharing resources. Across Earth, people noticed subtle changes. Communities grew stronger. People helped each other more. Scientists and engineers worked on solutions for global problems. Teachers encouraged creativity in students. Doctors and nurses cared for patients beyond their duty. Every small action added to the image of humanity that the Kyler were building. In one city, a young boy named Noah helped direct people to safety during a minor flood. His actions were simple, but the Kyler recorded them as proof of human courage and instinctive leadership. In another city, Lily organized her friends to help elderly neighbors during a storm. The Kyler noted the child's initiative as evidence of the human spirit spreading through generations. The Kyler communicated among themselves. "Observe them," one said. "They are not just surviving. They are creating, helping, and inspiring. They act with courage, empathy, and wisdom. Their spirit is unlike any we have seen." Another Kyler added, "Yes, and their unpredictability is their strength. They cannot be calculated, controlled, or fully understood. They are extraordinary." Jack, Laura, and Ethan realized something important. Humanity had not only survived another challenge, they had shown the Kyler what it meant to act with heart. Their strength was not in weapons, technology, or numbers. It was in their spirit, their courage, their empathy, and their creativity. Laura turned to Jack. "The Kyler are starting to understand the full potential of humans. We are more than just survivors. We are problem solvers, caregivers, and leaders." Jack nodded. "And the galaxy will notice. One day, every civilization will see what we already know." Ethan smiled. "Then let them watch. Let them see how humans act when we work together and never give up." The Kyler fleet remained in orbit, recording every moment, knowing that humans had passed another challenge. They had acted with courage, creativity, and empathy, showing that strength was not in machines or power, but in heart, spirit, and unity. For the first time, the Kyler realized that humans could not be predicted or fully understood. They were fragile yet strong, small yet capable of enormous acts, unpredictable yet extraordinary. Jack, Laura, and Ethan returned to Earth, exhausted but proud. They had faced a real challenge, saving lives on another world, and had done so with only human ingenuity, courage, and care. They had not fought with weapons, they had fought with heart and spirit. And as Earth slept that night, unaware of the full weight of galactic observation, a quiet pride spread among the stars. Humanity had passed yet another test, proving that their strength was not in machines or force, but in who they were and how they acted together. The Kyler fleet shimmered above, recording every moment. They understood that humanity was extraordinary. They had survived impossible odds, saved lives, and inspired others. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. Jack looked at the stars and whispered, "The Kyler see us now. They know we are special, and the universe will not forget it." Laura smiled. "Yes, we have shown them that humans are more than just a species. We are something extraordinary, something they cannot fully understand." Ethan nodded, "And that's exactly what makes us humans." Above Earth, the Kyler fleet remained, silent but alert. They continued to observe humanity, learning from every action, every decision, and every small act of courage. Humans had proven that their strength lay not in technology or weapons, but in heart, mind, and unity. The galaxy had started to take notice. And when the Kyler finally spoke to other civilizations, the words were simple but powerful. Humans are extraordinary. They survive, they care, they create. They cannot be predicted. They must be respected. And so Earth's people continued their lives, unaware that their courage, creativity, and empathy were changing how the universe saw them. The Kyler had begun to understand that humans were not just another species. They were exceptional, and their story was only beginning. After the humans had saved the distant colony, the Kyler fleet remained quietly in orbit above Earth. But the silence was different now. It was not curiosity, not observation, not testing. It was a profound respect. Every action the humans had taken, every life they had saved, every problem they had solved with courage, care, and creativity had been recorded. The Kyler had never encountered a species like this. Jack Harris, Laura Bennett, and Ethan Carter were back at the Space Command Center. The three of them had grown weary from constant tests and missions, but a new sense of purpose filled them. The humans had passed every challenge the Kyler had given, not with weapons, but with spirit, unity, and intelligence. Laura studied the latest communication from the Kyler. "They want to announce something," she said. "They're preparing to speak to the galaxy about humans." Jack's eyes widened. "To the galaxy, after everything we've done, what could they say?" Ethan laughed nervously. "They can't really describe us. No one can, but whatever it is, I hope it's good." The Kyler projection shimmered in the room. Its shape flowed like liquid, shifting colors and patterns. Then words appeared in a form the humans could understand. "We have observed Earth. We have observed humanity. And we declare humans are extraordinary. They cannot be predicted. They cannot be controlled. They are unlike any species we have encountered." Jack felt a chill. "This is unbelievable. They're telling the galaxy about us?" Laura nodded slowly. "Yes, and this changes everything. Every civilization in the universe will now know that humans exist, and they will know we are different." Ethan leaned forward. "Different in what way? Dangerous?" Jack shook his head. "Not dangerous in a bad way, dangerous in a way that no one can ignore. Humans survive, humans create, humans inspire, and humans care. That is the message." The Kyler continued to explain. They had communicated with other species before, but no civilization had impressed them like humans had. They had faced impossible tests, saved lives, and adapted in ways that no algorithm or calculation could predict. "We announced to the galaxy that humans are to be respected, not feared," the Kyler projected. "They survive not through destruction, but through courage, ingenuity, and heart. Any species that underestimates them will find their assumptions wrong." Across Earth, the announcement had yet to reach most people. Life continued as usual, but slowly news began to spread. Governments, scientists, and civilians learned that humans had earned recognition from a species that had conquered countless worlds. The Kyler had broadcast their message in a way that could be interpreted by anyone with advanced technology, but even simple signals carried the meaning. Earth had been noticed, and humans were extraordinary. Jack, Laura, and Ethan realized what this meant. Humanity was no longer isolated. The galaxy would watch, and humans would be measured not just by technology or strength, but by spirit, courage, and creativity. The Kyler made a surprising offer. They invited a human delegation to visit their fleet. Not as prisoners or students, but as representatives of a species they now respected deeply. Jack, Laura, Ethan, and a small team of diplomats, scientists, and leaders prepared for the journey. The journey to the Kyler fleet was awe-inspiring. The ships were enormous, flowing with light and moving like living beings. Humans had never seen anything like it. Jack felt a mix of fear and excitement. "We are about to meet a species that has never seen another like us," he said quietly. Laura nodded. "And they are offering friendship, not conquest. That is remarkable." When the humans boarded the Kyler flagship, they were greeted not with weapons, but with respect. The Kyler queen, Celera, appeared in the center of a glowing chamber. Her form shimmered with colors humans could not name, flowing like liquid metal and light. "You have proven yourselves," she said, projecting her thoughts into their minds. "Not through force, not through domination, but through courage, creativity, and care. You are unlike any species we have ever encountered. You inspire life where others would fail. You are extraordinary." Jack bowed slightly. "We are honored. We did not act for recognition, but to help, to survive, and to live as humans." Celera shimmered. "And that is why you are remarkable. You do not rely solely on power. You rely on each other, your mind, and your heart. That is a combination no other species has mastered." The humans toured the Kyler fleet, learning about their technology, their culture, and their history. They saw civilizations the Kyler had conquered, but none had shown the creativity, courage, or care that humans displayed. Every ship, every system, every plan in the fleet had been designed for efficiency, but humans had shown them that efficiency alone was not enough. Laura observed quietly. "They see us as equals now, not because of weapons, but because of what we are." Jack nodded. "This is bigger than we imagined. The galaxy will see us not as primitive or weak, but as capable, unpredictable, and alive." Ethan smiled. "And it all started with being human, not pretending to be perfect, not pretending to be strong, just being ourselves." Celera projected a final thought. "We invite you to join the community of the galaxy, not as servants, not as subordinates, but as equals." Your species has the potential to shape the future. You must choose wisely, for the galaxy will watch your actions closely. Jack, Laura, and Ethan exchanged looks. The responsibility was enormous. Humanity had been recognized, but recognition came with expectation. They could no longer act only for themselves. They represented the entire species. Back on Earth, people began to notice the change. Communication signals from the Kyler broadcast their message in ways that even simple technology could pick up. Humans everywhere felt pride, wonder, and curiosity. Children like Lily and Noah stared at the sky, imagining a galaxy where humans were respected and admired. Scientists, engineers, and explorers prepared for future contact. The message from the Kyler inspired collaboration and innovation. Humanity realized that their potential was not limited to Earth. They could survive, create, and thrive anywhere if they acted with courage, care, and unity. Jack, Laura, and Ethan returned to Earth as ambassadors of the human spirit. They spoke to leaders, communities, and young people, explaining that strength was not in domination or weapons, but in intelligence, courage, and empathy. Laura said, "We have been noticed not because of what we built, but because of how we act. Every small choice matters. Every act of courage or care shows the galaxy who we are." Jack added, "We must remember this. Humanity is extraordinary because we create, because we survive, because we care. That is our power." Ethan smiled. "And it is a power that no one can predict or control. That is what makes humans humans." As weeks passed, the Kyler fleet remained near Earth, but not as observers. They were allies, mentors, and friends. They shared knowledge and technology, but always respected human creativity and decision-making. Humans learned quickly, but they never lost their spirit, courage, or independence. The galaxy began to take notice. Other civilizations, alerted by the Kyler, paused their expansion, observation, and judgment. They were told, humans are not ordinary, they are extraordinary. They survive where others fail. They create where others destroy. They care where others ignore. Across Earth, people felt a new sense of pride. Scientists worked tirelessly, children explored, communities helped each other, and leaders learned to value creativity and courage over brute force. Humanity had passed the ultimate test, not of strength, but of spirit. Jack, Laura, and Ethan often looked at the stars, imagining the possibilities. "We have only begun," Jack said. "The galaxy will challenge us, but we are ready." Laura nodded. "Because we are human, that is enough," Ethan laughed. "Enough to survive, enough to inspire, enough to be noticed by the entire universe." Above Earth, the Kyler fleet shimmered, recording every act of courage, creativity, and care. They had learned a lesson that no technology or conquest could teach. Humans were extraordinary, not because of weapons, machines, or numbers, but because of heart, spirit, and unity. Celera projected one final thought to the humans: the galaxy has been silent until now. But it will not be silent any longer. Humanity will be watched, studied, and respected, and you have the power to shape your own destiny. Jack, Laura, and Ethan understood the weight of the words. They had led humanity into a new era, one where the universe knew their potential, one where humans could shape the future not through fear, but through courage, creativity, and care. And as Earth continued to spin quietly beneath the watching stars, a new chapter began. Humans were no longer just inhabitants of a small blue planet. They were extraordinary beings, recognized by a species that had seen countless civilizations. The galaxy had gone silent, not in fear, but in awe. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter as humans looked up, ready for the adventures, challenges, and wonders that awaited them. And for the first time, Earth's people understood that their greatest power was not in what they could build, but in who they were. Jack, Laura, and Ethan looked at each other. "We have done it," Laura said. "Humanity has been seen, humanity has been respected." Jack nodded. "And this is only the beginning. The universe will never be the same again." Ethan grinned, "because humans are humans. And that is enough to shock the galaxy." Above Earth, the Kyler fleet shimmered one last time, then slowly moved into the stars, leaving Earth ready to step onto the galactic stage. Humanity had survived, helped others, and inspired awe. The galaxy had gone silent in shock, and nothing would ever be the same again.